Hi, I'm Ileana Hersky-Douglas from the University of Glasgow, and together with Vilma Camper, I'm delighted to present our DIS paper, Do Monkeys Want Audio-Visual Stimuli? Interactive Computers for Choice with White-Faced Sakis in Zoos. Zoos are increasingly providing animals access to computer systems which aim to enhance the animals' quality of life by giving them control and autonomy over their environment and activities, such as controlling light, heat, sound, and visual elements. While choice has been well documented to increase in animals' welfare indices, only a few computer systems developed give zoo animals direct control over when the system triggers event and what the system does. Instead, often stimuli is played without the animal's choice, or the animals given minimal control on choice of being able to turn the system on or off. Additionally, current research has only investigated one type of stimuli at any one time, mostly either audio or visual. As such, a large question remains of how do we develop systems for choice with zoo animals, and what would they choose? To address this, we built a novel interactive system for white-faced sakis monkeys that asks the following questions. How can we build interactive devices for choice with white-faced saki monkeys? And if given this choice, what audio and visual stimuli do they prefer? We worked with 3 white-faced sakis based in Helsinki Zoo in Kaukosaari in Finland. To investigate how they would use this device, we built a device that they could control and provided them the freedom to choose what to watch or listen to. In designing the system, we considered how it could be used and controlled by the monkeys themselves directly, both as a research tool and also as a system prototype. We followed prior requirements made by Hersky, Douglas, and Pittonen for sakis, taking this animal-centered approach to meet the sakis and the zoo requirements. These were that the system wasn't easily breakable, that it wasn't frustrating, and that it can be easily monitored. To meet these requirements, we started with a tunnel form made of wood on the bottom and plastic on the top. This tunnel was tall enough for the sakis to stand up comfortably inside and long enough not to have 3 seating positions, addressing our usability issues. Plastic was used on the top of the tunnel form to prevent the sakis from feeling enclosed, and wood to prevent the sakis from slipping. We made space for the technology behind the system walls so that these could slide open to prevent the sakis from getting inside and accessing the technology. For the sakis to interact with the systems, there's several methods that could have been chosen, including gaze, head positioning, posture, proxemics, and also using physical touchscreens. For monkeys in particular, recent work has made great strides with proxemic-triggered interactions, and as such, we chose proximity as the interaction method, as it's been shown to work with our users and monkeys more widely. To use proxemics, we embedded 3 infrared sensors to control the playing of different stimuli at any one time. These infrared sensors made 3 interactive zones within the tunnel, Zone 1, Zone 2, and Zone 3. The system was built using Raspberry Pi with further details about the hardware and software within our paper. We developed the system to be remotely accessible so that it could be controlled and updated, making our system easy to modify and monitor without being physically present or disturbing the sakis in their enclosure. To build on prior work, we implemented audio and visual stimulus that had been used previously with monkeys. The 3 audio stimuli uses were rain, traffic, and music, and the visual stimuli were worms, underwater scenes, and abstract video. These were chosen as they had a strong variety of sounds and different visual elements, as well as colors and movement speed. When each zone was triggered, the stimuli consisted of either a video or of a sound. We used the interactive vision device in the living space for 32 days, high up in their enclosure, being constantly turned on 24/7, letting the sakis freely choose to interact with the device as they wished. To assess the choice, we used the baseline method, which compares the animal's regular behaviors before the technology is turned on, with the behaviors when stimuli is available, and also after stimuli is removed in the post behaviors. We provided different stimuli, audio or visual, on alternative days to mitigate the ordering effect of the content, stimuli type, and also change the ordering of the interactive zones, and in an aim to also reduce habitation. The system automatically recorded and logged the sakis interactions, as well as took videos of the interactions, which we paired with the zoo camera for analysis. As the sakis could trigger multiple stimuli in any one interaction, we referred to these as interactive period, with individual zone activations within these. The trooper sakis had an average of 3.6 interactive periods per day, which lasted on average around 5.1 seconds. With an interactive period, they triggered about 1.4 zones on average. On a typical day, the troops spent 18 seconds in total interacting with the device. The sakis interacted with the device only between 5 a.m. and 6 p.m., with a decrease of interactions around 11 a.m. They interacted with the device primarily by walking or running through it, but they also did sit inside the device and pause. Due to them mostly interacting with the device through walking through the system, they activated the zones located in both ends of the device most frequently. As such, they showed a slight preference for Zone 3 over Zone 1, possibly reflecting the usual locomotion inside the enclosure. The amount of time the troops spent daily interacting with the system decreased over time. However, this decrease wasn't linear, instead followed the zigzag pattern. But there was no trend to this pattern. As the sakis use audio less over time, and visual slowly increased over the studies. Looking at the pre-stimuli, stimuli, and post-stimuli conditions, during the stimuli conditions, the sakis had a few of these long interactive periods between 47 and 53 seconds, yet most of the sakis interactive periods the same minimum duration of 3 seconds. There was no statistical significance between the interactive time between the pre-stimuli, stimuli, and post-stimuli. Sakis triggered audio twice as much as visual stimuli, but had a longer mean duration with visual stimuli, though we found no significant differences between audio and visual. The sakis triggered music most frequently out of all audio clips. In terms of visual stimuli, sakis triggered underwater video the most frequently, but the visual and audio differences were not significant. Overall, from our study, what we found was 5 future suggestions for monkey enrichment systems. The first was that the sakis' interaction with the device were mostly short, lasting only a few seconds, often triggered by walking or running through the system. So our first recommendation is to design for these short interactions. Secondly, monkeys' interaction decreased towards the end of the study, declining rapidly post-stimuli. This decrease may indicate 2 things: that they've become habituated to the device, or that the initial number of high interactions was due to the novelty effect introduced by introducing new enrichment. Our findings unearthed that computer systems has this long-lasting effect on the sakis space usage, even after the stimuli are removed. And as such, our second recommendation is that there's a need to look at the after effects of computers for monkeys to balance any temporary value with long-lasting effects to ensure an overall welfare increase. Thirdly, the sakis' interactions with time over the test cycles follow the zigzag pattern, and while our findings highlighted the potential of audio-based strategies in monkeys as well as visual ones, we noticed that monkeys interact with these different modalities differently over time. Fourthly, reflecting on the system as one for choice, the usage of 3 zones indicated that the sakis did not learn to use the individual zones, and that this method doesn't really work for sakis. Developing interactive interfaces and the measuring an animal's user experience and meaning making of these is often one of the hardest steps. As humans, we have to make best guesses at the user experience and at their understandings of technologies, which may be so far removed from or non-comparable to the spectrum of humans. While we measure time and frequency here, more work is needed to identify objective measures of engagement and what is really meaningful within technologies for animals. Lastly, the system gives monkeys autonomy and agency over their lives. However, the monkeys could have triggered the device and used the system to exercise agency and choice rather than necessarily to play the content. As so few systems exist that give animal control over their lives, we can't comment on what factors cause monkeys to trigger stimuli or how having the option of choice impacted their interactions. And this formed our final recommendation that when building systems for choice, the act of choice alone could influence the monkeys interacting with the systems. Thank you for listening to our presentation. Our paper is available online as well as a code on GitHub, and please reach out if you have any more questions. We'd like to thank both the zoo and also the sakis for taking part in this research.